And again, we haven't seen this index above 50 since the bull run of 2017. So it is meant to measure strong trends or the strength of trends. What is going on, crypto peeps? Welcome back to the Traveling Trader. Yes, I've announced that we are changing the name of the channel slightly from the Traveling Crypto to the Traveling Trader. It was always my intention to include traditional markets in my updates. And as you know, this channel is mainly focused on the trading aspect of cryptocurrency, although obviously we report on fundamentals and news because that does affect the price action as well. But I want to make the direction of the channel very clear that this is a trading based channel, and I've always wanted to include traditional market updates within the channel itself. So for now, I'll leave the traditional market updates till the end, right? So we'll start with crypto, do the traditional market updates at the end. Who knows if that format will change in the future? I guess it all depends on your guys' feedback. So let me know in the comment section below or on the Discord if you are a member. If you're not, I don't know why you wouldn't be. Link is in the description along with the trade alerts. The access to the Discord is free. If you want access to the trade alerts, that is a premium service. Obviously, link is in the description. So anyways, don't want to make a big deal about it. Slight name change, content will stay the same. Looking at the cryptocurrency markets, we are at around 137 bill on the market cap. There are a few gainers. A couple that we sent out trade alerts for. Our two biggest gainers were Litecoin and Tron. This was in the last week and a half or so. We did send out the Litecoin alert on 12/28. So a few days after Christmas, you'll see here. I don't mind showing this to you because this is an old trade alert, but we did send out a Litecoin alert for when it crossed this threshold that it's been trying to cross. You see this resistance point that it's been tested and retested several times. And this is just to show that you don't have to make hasty trade decisions. You can wait for breakouts before entering coins, right? Or before entering your trades. So, instead of just trading blindly or saying, oh, Litecoin seems low enough, let me just enter. If you're trading, you can wait for confirmation and breakout. So we saw the 50-day moving average cross above the 100-day moving average. It's been trying to break this resistance time and time again. When it finally did with good volume, you see the moving average crossover and the VFI, which is basically just a volume flow indicator. It's a measure of volume or the strength of volume. Then you can enter the trade. We did so, exiting at around $40. And you might be asking yourself, how did you know when to exit? How do you know, when the high is? Well, for one, this might not be the high. We can continue going up, but you can set a trailing stop limit, a tight one, -2, -3, -5% to protect your profits. So if and you move it up as the price of the coin moves up. So if it does fall below your threshold, it automatically sells. You allow the market to make the decision for you as opposed to you going out and manually selling, which might be a premature or hasty decision. Looking at TRX, you'll see it formed this long cup and handle pattern on the 4-hour going all the way back to July. And the longer this pattern is, the more confirmation that it delivers, right? The more that the trend appears to be strong. And you see this cup and handle pattern. We bought at the breakout of the handle. Also, if you're looking at a more shorter term pattern, this is also a bull flag that occurred here on TRX. But the longer term pattern, the cup and handle, we played the breakout of the cup and handle, again, riding this all the way out, setting a trailing stop limit, getting about 13% on our trade. Obviously, some people got a lot more if you entered the trade in before, but this is when I entered the trade, and when I sent the trade alert was at the confirmation of this signal here. Let's look at BTC real quick, because this is one of the highlights that I wanted to discuss, obviously because it is BTC, but also because there is an indicator that I took a look at which provided an outlook that we haven't seen in a while. So here is Bitcoin versus the dollar on the 1-day chart. I'm using Bitstamp because I can go back in time. It provides the most data, at least on TradingView. And you'll see here that the 50 is below the 100, is below the 200 in terms of moving averages. However, this right here, this indicator right here is the average directional movement index. What this basically measures, and you might have seen me use this before, you might not, depending on how early or late you've come to the channel, but this measures the strength of the trend. Now, I don't use this often because I generally I don't use it as a tool to make trades, but I use it as a tool to identify whether major moves in the market, major being, for instance, the bull run of the end of 2017, and then the decline that we had recently towards November and December. I use this to measure the strength of those movements, right? So the average directional movement index is not going to tell you whether it's positive or negative price action. It won't tell you what the trend is. It won't even tell you momentum. What it does is tell you what the strength of that move is. And anytime that this thing is above 50, it is a strong indication of that trend. So in this case, you see this measure here, what the average directional movement index is measuring here, right? If you take this move up that you see here, what that is measuring, if you coincide that with the price on the chart, it's measuring this downtrend here. So it is saying that this downtrend is at its, at a very strong point. It's above 50. We haven't been above 50 since the bull run of 2017, where we saw this measuring the strength of the bull run, saying that, this uptrend is at its peak right now. So this is basically saying that this downtrend is at its peak, and now we are coming off. You see that the smoothing of this average directional movement index, meaning that what this indicates or could indicate is that this trend down is at its end, right? At least for the time being. And again, we haven't seen this index above 50 since the bull run of 2017. So it is meant to measure strong trends or the strength of trends. Now, people in the stock market do use this as, an indicator to enter buys or sells. But again, I like to use it as an indicator of strong, violent movements and see whether we can measure above 50 on those moves or not. Now, we do see Bitcoin entering this sideways pattern once again in this tight range. And as long as the volume maintains where it's at and we don't get into these volume levels that we saw in the second half of 2018, we could see a move up. Now, if the volume continues to wane, obviously the sideways pattern can break and we can fall below it once again. However, let us start 2019 off in the right way, and hopefully we do get to see volume coming in and we see a positive break from that. If we do see a positive break from that, obviously we have resistance at 4,200, which was previous between 4,200 and 4,300. And if we're going to go to the level before we saw that major drop in November, that was around the 6,000 to 6,500 level, right? So we do want to see Bitcoin get to there at least before declaring any sort of major bull run. Right now, I'm not putting any moves in on Bitcoin. Again, I mean, it's shown that these sideways trading patterns, at least in 2018, do often end up breaking to the downside because of the lacking volume, right? Traders tend to lose faith and get bored, and we don't get to see enough volume to push it up ahead of these sideways channels. So I'm not making any major moves on Bitcoin right now. There are plenty of other trades, as I said, Litecoin, Tron, as examples to get into aside from Bitcoin at the moment. Again, if you want access to those trade alerts, link is in the description. All right, let us get into a little bit of news. You'll see here Ethereum Classic experienced a 51% attack. And if you don't know what a 51% attack, it's basically when a user or group of users control most of the mining power. And if you control most of the mining power, then you control most of the events in the ecosystem of that cryptocurrency, right? However, I was surprised to see that the price didn't drop much. Well, Coinbase, what they did was they halted trading. So they froze trading on Ethereum Classic. But you did see a decline in price of about 5 or 6%. I did expect to see it tank further. Now, again, I said Coinbase did halt trading on that. I'm not sure about many of the other exchanges, but I did expect to see a price dump after this happened. However, we did see a slight decline in price. Nothing too drastic. Who knows when Coinbase resumes trading if the price will then tank shortly thereafter. But that is something that Bitcoin, gold, and what was the other one that experienced a 51% attack last year? It was Bitcoin, gold, and I can't remember now. Oh, Vertcoin. Yeah, Vertcoin experienced a 51% attack in 2018. And this article makes a good point. It says that market cap is a poor metric for measuring network security. So Ethereum Classic could be, a top 10 crypto, but it does not mean that it is not prone or at least vulnerable to something like a 51% attack. But if you believe in true decentralization, right, then 51% attacks, I mean, it can happen on Bitcoin. It's just so expensive in order to try and execute one. In positive news, the NASDAQ offering that I talked about a couple of videos ago, DX.exchange, launches today. And what this exchange does is basically tokenize stocks that are on the NASDAQ exchange. So stocks like Apple, like Amazon, for instance, they back those shares up with a 1-to-1 ratio of their token. And what that does, obviously, if you've been involved in crypto trading, you know that you can buy fractions of coins or fractions of tokens. You don't have to buy a whole coin in the same way that you have to buy a whole share on the stock market. So it allows you to own an expensive stock like Amazon, which is well over $1,000 per share, right? You can buy a tenth of Amazon through a tokenized purchase on the DX exchange. So that apparently launched in the EU. For those of us in the US, including myself, sad news, it won't be available until maybe later in 2019. I did see a tweet from I think it was the one of whoever runs operations for DX Exchange, but he was saying that it is only available in the EU for now and might be available in the US later 2019, maybe 2020. But this is a very interesting use case. I do think that it will benefit everybody, but it certainly benefits foreign traders who don't have access to buying stocks on US exchanges. It will allow you to buy these tokens that are backed by the shares themselves. And furthering upon the news of DX.exchange, you'll see here that XRP trading has been added on DX.exchange. So it goes live with 5 XRP pairs. Now, so far, it doesn't look like you can buy the stocks with XRP. However, there are XRP pairings of other cryptocurrencies you'll see here. So XRP, BTC, ETH, USD, Euro, and the Japanese yen. Those are the pairings available on DX.exchange. In terms of the stocks that are available, it's the top 10 NASDAQ stocks. So Facebook, Intel, Amazon, Baidu, Apple, Nvidia, Netflix, Microsoft, Tesla, and Google. Those are the shares that you can buy tokenized versions of as of now. For those of you that are in the EU, I'd be interested to see if you were using it, whether what the interface is like, how you like the trading, whether the platform itself is smooth, etc. So if you are going to use it, leave a comment down below and let me know. Let us know, for those of you that are in the EU that have access to this. So, all right, let's talk about the markets. Looking at the US markets, you'll see a green day in the US markets. All the indices reporting positive gains. NASDAQ, Dow Jones, and S&P up between 0.5% to 1% today. However, momentum overall is definitely waning. You'll see here, this is the NASDAQ. This is the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average. This is what we would call a death cross. Now, in crypto, this would be front page news. But in the stock world, I mean, the stocks tend to follow what the markets are doing, right? So if you look at Amazon, for instance, you'll see the death cross happen. Even something like Apple, you'll see here's the death cross. So it tends to follow the indices. That's why they are a good representation of what's happening in the markets. You'll see here, this is the Dow Jones, same thing. You'll see that death cross happen. So in terms of the overall markets, we are definitely seeing slowing momentum. There's no way that we can sustain a 10-year bull run, the likes of which we probably have never seen before. But yeah, I mean, there's no way we can sustain that. So we are definitely due for a correction. Some analysts believe we're due for a market crash. And these things like, the 5,200 death cross are just a sign of that waning momentum, right? Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to see a crash from here. We can easily see, sideways trading or maybe even a few mini rallies here and there, but it definitely shows that momentum overall is waning when you see the 50 cross below the 200. Apple continues to struggle. Obviously, it has its earnings report towards the end of the month, as a lot of other stocks do as well, but it continues to struggle, falling from its height of 233 just a couple months ago, and we're now trading at around 150. It already gave us an indication that it's going to fall short of its earnings, and the one thing that's interesting here is the VFI, or the volume flow indicator. You'll see that the VFI is waning for the first time since 2016. Here, this is all going all the way back to 2016. You'll see that the volume flow indicator has fell below the 0 mark again for the first time since 2016, furthering the indication that momentum is waning, volume is waning, price action is waning. But yeah, I mean, Apple continues to struggle. We will see, Apple struggle as it decides what its next business vertical will be. Amazon trading in this descending channel. It also has its earnings outlook towards the end of the month, same as Apple. We do occasionally see it dip below the 0 on the VFI. I will be looking to see if Amazon does continue to trade within this channel. Usually descending channels, we will eventually see a positive breakout from that. However, with the overall market waning, I'll be interested to see if we do fall back towards support, if we do eventually fail, break below support and see more downward momentum. I will be adding stocks to the trade alerts in the Discord. It's just, I just want to do it right and give it its due time. So look out for that. But, I will definitely be adding the trade alerts, the stock trade alerts to the Discord. In our last news story, you'll see here on CNBC, there's a story in Ripple. Ripple wants a piece of the global payment system while it fights a cryptocurrency holy war. The holy war they're talking about is obviously the heated debate about XRP. You have detractors and you have XRP fanboys, and there really is no middle ground. Well, I'm in the middle ground. I will trade anything that's legal for me to trade, right? Including XRP. A lot of times on XRP trade alerts, I'll get people saying, oh, why do you trade that? Or I love XRP, it's the future. I don't really get engaged in these emotional histrionics, right? Like for me, if it's tradable and there's a good setup, I'll trade it. But in terms of this news story here, a lot of people don't know that Ripple already has it crossed the 200 customer threshold on Tuesday. Now, this isn't necessarily tied to XRP. We all know about the Xcurrent platform, and Ripple is really just a private Silicon Valley-based software company, and XRP is just the cryptocurrency arm of Ripple. So interestingly enough, Ripple currently is valued at $20 billion. In comparison, Lyft, the ride sharing app, the competitor to Uber, is valued at around $15 billion. So currently Ripple is now valued higher than Lyft is. All right, that is it for today. A lot of news, a lot of trading action. Again, if you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. I will be heading to CES this week in Las Vegas, as a lot of content creators are there as well. If there's anything interesting, at least from a blockchain perspective, I will be sure to do a video about it and cover it. Otherwise, most of my time there will be spent on the poker table. Subscribe to the channel if you got anything out of this. It goes a long way in letting me know that you guys do appreciate the content. If you have a comment, leave it in the comment section, agreement, disagreement, etc. If you are using the DX exchange and you are in Europe, leave that in the comments as well. I will be interested to see how that platform runs. Stay safe out there, guys. Peace.